Hello people of Earth, I'm Kimani Hall and welcome to my channel, Hauling This Together, where we do baking videos, decorating tutorials, lifestyle vlogs, just about anything that has to do with my life that I think is interesting enough to post on the internet. And so, today I'll be showing you guys how I made this cake. Yes, it's a cake that looks like a cupcake. Ironic, I know. Anyways, this cake was made for a baby's photo shoot and I think it's super cute, which is why I'm sharing with you how I did it and all the fails that I had along the way and how I corrected it, and also some tips so that you don't make the same mistakes. Okay, so just for you guys to know, this will be the last golden whisk cake decorating type tutorial that I will be uploading for a while, because I haven't started baking yet since my accident, and so it will all just be my face and lifestyle type content going forward until I start baking again. But yeah, enough of that, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so like all my other cake tutorials and cakes overall, I start with a dollop of buttercream on my board to act as glue. So here I have this huge muffin liner that I'm using kind of to give me some guide. This is the first mistake I made, right? First mistake I made was to freehand this. I should have flipped that cake upside down and used something like a cookie cutter to mark that circumference for the bottom so that it would have been symmetrical. First mistake I made, but I thought, it would be fine, and I kind of didn't want it to be too symmetrical because I thought, cupcakes aren't perfect. After you bake it, stuff happens. But later regretted it because it was like way off, which you will see later down in the decorating process. It's hard to see right now, but that's fine. The key to doing this, however, is to make sure that you make smaller cuts, because you can always take off more, but it's hard for you to put on back. So yeah, I just took off the caramelization off the top, cutting the cake in half so that I can add some buttercream, and simple syrup so that my cake stays moist. And if you're liking my content so far, then please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. No pressure, but it would be very nice if you did. So now I'm trying to just kind of round the edges so it's not so edgy. So I'm just doing that. I'm just using my serrated knife, like nothing too serious. You can use whatever knife you have handy. That's me still comparing it to that cup. The customer wanted it pretty small, so I thought that would make sense. Now I'm making like a cake pop mixture with just the scrap cake that I had cut off in my carving process. Just added some buttercream, and I'm using Swiss meringue for this. Just added some buttercream and turned it into a dough. To smooth out my my crumb coat, I'm using a small palette knife, and I'm also going to use a square of acetate sheet for like the, you can see you can see here, I'm using it for the curved parts and the slope part. And if you look closely, you'll see that my cupcake is a little lopsided, which is why I'm saying, that first step that I did, that was wrong. This is my first time making this cake. And I kind of was just freehanding it. I didn't really give it much thought, which I should have. And then I added a skewer for stability, which I would do regardless of the lopsidedness. Like if it wasn't, or if it was, I would have still added that support, because I do that for all my cakes. Now I just rolled out some, this is kind of like an ivory color or skin tone, not really, it's like a light brown color, and I kind of just cut a hole in the middle, rolled it out, but it was cracking. So that's the second mistake I made, not making it big enough, not making the hole that I cut out in the middle big enough. And so you'll see in a minute that I'm just going to tear that off, because I felt like I had too much to salvage and it just wasn't working out. So I just removed it and start again, you know, that's fine too. So rolling it again, I added some more white so it's a lighter color. And can you just look at that free-handed circle that I just made? Oh my gosh, I'm proud. Anyways, just flop that over. I need it to be in the middle section, not the bottom, not the top, because the top is going to be the frosting, the bottom is going to be the cup. So I need this for like the cake section of the cupcake, if that makes sense. So just put that over there, smooth it on. My buttercream is firm, so that's why it was easy for me to take off and replace. And I'm just cutting off the excess from the bottom, as you can see. And now I'm using like a fondant tool to just add some texture. It's like holes and stuff, you know. Cake is very airy and textured, so I just did that. Now I have some purple fondant and I'm just rolling into strips, and you'll see what I'll do with it in a minute. So I'm putting it all around the bottom of that cake where the cupcake liner would be, and I'm leaving a gap in between, so it's almost like I'm alternating kind of, because I'm going to use it to get that crinkly effect that you get on cupcake liners, like you know what I'm talking about. So I'm adding that. After I added the lines after I added the lines, you can see my lopsidedness even more, like it was so pronounced at this point, but that's fine, you know, it worked out. So that's what it looks like. See, lopsidedness. And I'll just roll the strip of the same color fondant to go around. I use the same color so that if any of those like strips are showing, it will be somewhat seamless, just the same, and it won't, you know, you won't see purple and white, for example, as a cupcake liner, unless that's something you actually want. But yeah. And I didn't have to use any glue or anything because the buttercream is still in between each space. And guys, remember fondant stretches, so don't worry about it tearing unless you have like too much Tylose powder or something. Now I'm using my fondant tool to just define those grooves. I'm just going literally in between each rod, each line that I created with the fondant before, so that, you know, you can actually see those grooves more defined. So that's that. Now, if I'm being honest, this next step is my favorite of all the steps, and it's so simple and so like, oh my gosh, but it made the world of difference. So I just mixed some, I'm using edible food dust, mixed some brown and some yellow, and I'm adding some definition to the cake part of the cake. And like, it just, you know, when you bake a cake, it has like those brown, like darker spots and something because, you know, heat, caramelization and stuff. Like literally, this made it so much better. I was so excited that I did that, and then I just kind of dulled it out, like muted the shades with some cornstarch on a brush. Cornstarch is edible, so it's fine. If you have white petal dust, which I doubt you do, because I don't even know if it exists, then you can use that too. But you can see the difference. It's not very clear, but you can see the difference. It's like more, I don't want to say smooth, it's more natural looking is what I want to say after I added the cornstarch over. Now for the frosting, look keenly. So I created a big log with some light pink fondant, right? It was still very soft and pliable, as you can see, which is why I'm having an issue to cut it in half. So now I have 2 half circles, right? Place them down. Now I'm using my brush to create this pattern. I'm going to do it slowly for you. Like, look at the motion of my hand and the brush and what it does to the fondant. Like literally, that was so cool as well. Like, I had so much fun doing this cake, and I just wish it was bigger. Now I'm going through with my fingers just to pinch those grooves so that it can be a little bit more defined. Like, I'm trying to imitate what it would look like if I used like a giant 1M Wilton tip to do this cake. And you know, it has a metal, like the angles, so it does give you a more defined like swirl when you're using it. So I'm trying to replicate that, which is, this is the best way I found to do it. So yeah. And now I'm going to simply wrap it around the top half of the cake. That's literally it. So I'm flattening out the like end so that I can make it seamless when I'm putting it on, so that I can kind of overlap but not have it look bulky at the ends, so it can look seamless. So I did that, but for the top part I wanted it to be a little bit more defined, so I rolled some fondant, right? Tried to do the same thing, but I realized immediately this was going to be too heavy and it's going to crush the cake. So, well, not immediately because I'm still working on it, but I still decided to show you guys, like, you know, the process. This is another mistake I made. It was going to be too heavy because it was too much fondant rolled into that ball. So I ended up doing something else, which you'll see in a minute. So I decided to just go with the same technique I was using from before, but just use a shorter piece and kind of manipulate it a little bit different. As you guys know, well, I think you know, fondant is super heavy, so I didn't want to add too much fondant. Plus, not a lot of people eat it, so you know, it would probably just be a waste. So I'm just wrapping it around, trying to get it seamless as well, and I want it to have like a peak at the top where it kind of like drags over, like when you pull fondant from, not fondant, like when you pull frosting from like a piping bag. Can you see the lopsidedness? Oh my gosh, I'm so about it right now, but I did this cake months ago and it was fine at the time. Like, it wasn't fine, but it was okay enough. So I just kind of crunched, squeezed, pinched the top into like a conical shape and then literally curved it over. And then I'm going over with some dark pink, well, it's not dark, but it's darker than the pink that's the base, powder, edible powder again, and I'm just adding some more definition. I wanted this cake to be like super cartoony and almost fake looking, and I think I achieved that. What do you guys think? That's pretty much the hardest stuff, like the hard part. After this, I'm just going to go through, and I have some like sprinkles that are huge. They're rods, and I just added them all over the cake. helps the fact that it was big because it makes it look a little bit more symmetrical. Like, this is a final look, guys. Like, isn't it just so adorable? Anyways, that's the end of this video. If you like, then you know what to do. Press that like button, subscribe to my channel, go watch my other videos, because why wouldn't you? And if you try this out, or if you've tried this before, then let me know down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay golden.